Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Spencer Oliver, and we are live in talkSPORT. We're live on your TV as well, even Prime Video, wherever you want to watch the show, you can. And Spencer, the true professional that he is, came in and immediately spoke over Nick Ellaby's live news broadcast and said hello to Simon and myself in very loud tones. Spencer, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. And someone stitched me up here, by the way, because I just sat on his chair and nearly fell straight on my backside. I don't know what's going
he
on
had
there.
that one earlier.
And there was a smug little sniggle there from Simon, so...
Spencer, let's get right on with it, because thanks to you, we're going to go live to one of the most popular names in the world of boxing. It's been heavily reported that Deontay Wilder and Derek Chisora are set to fight this April. Let's go live to a gymnasium in London, and I'm delighted to say that Derek Chisora is waiting to speak to us live in the show. Derek, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you see the grill on my face?
Are you now? If you're watching on YouTube, Derek, are you lying down at the moment? What are you up to? You're on a sofa?
I am not in a gym. I'm in a Pilates class. I'm doing Pilates and yoga.
Oh, you're doing Pilates. I do beg your pardon.
You look like you're wrapped up in a blanket there, mate, on the settee.
No, this is Laura Piano, if you should know.
Who would want to be behind Derek Chisora when he's doing downward-facing dog?
Oh, God. Derek, good afternoon. And as I said, we do thank you for joining us live. Listen, this is going to incur a lot of interest in the boxing world. Are you going to fight Wilder in April?
That's the rumor right now. So we'll see. That's the rumor.
Okay, so, Derek.
Yeah.
Well, is it more than a rumor? I mean, what have you been told?
That's what I'm hearing. So I'm just waiting to get a phone call to make it happen.
Do you want to fight Wilder in April?
Listen, I'll fight anybody. You know, if all I need is a good contract. You know, the reason why we didn't fight in December, I didn't get a good contract. So I didn't fight in December. So right now I'm just waiting to get a good number, a good contract, and I'll fight.
Have those negotiations started, though, Derek, with Deontay Wilder? And, you know, you're talking about 50 and out. This is your 50th fight. You wanted that big name. You're talking about modern legacies and names that are around. Deontay Wilder would fit the bill, though, wouldn't he? That's a huge fight. That would sell a stadium.
Listen, Deontay Wilder, me and Deontay will be amazing at Tottenham. That'll be amazing. Would you buy tickets for that, Spencer?
Well, hopefully I'll be getting paid to be there, mate. I'll be working on it.
Yeah, so that's the idea.
Yeah.
When I do know, the first place I'm coming is at talkSPORT to announce it. You understand?
Okay. Well, we've as good as announced it this lunchtime. Certainly, you are rubber stamping what we have heard, that you are in line to fight Wilder. Simon, does it float your boat, this man against Deontay?
Listen, Derek always comes to fights. And obviously I haven't been impressed, and I think it's unfair to say, with Deontay Wilder against Joseph Parker and Zhang, because it wasn't the Deontay Wilder that we were accustomed to. He talks about having got rid of certain aspects of his personal life and certain things that he's had to go through, and is coming back with menace. So that means that is the case, and we can see something vaguely resembling what Deontay Wilder once was. It becomes an intriguing fight, because Derek will go to fight him.
Yes.
Derek will stand in front of him.
Well, Derek,
so with that in mind, it becomes a fascinating fight, because Derek Chisora brings it all the time.
It's been suggested that, Derek, that Wilder himself is in line to fight Oleksandr Usyk later this year. And that if he fights you in April, this would be a tune-up fight.
For Wilder. The winner might end up fighting Oleksandr Usyk. We never know.
In a crazy world of boxing, mate, that's pretty much how it could happen, isn't it? Because if that is the case, and Deontay Wilder, and it was strongly rumoured that he was fighting Oleksandr Usyk next, and now he said that he wants a warm-up fight. He's chose you as that fight. If you come through this one, and although you said it's 50 and out, and we know what you're like, you change your mind like the weather, and it probably won't be 50 and out, it will be then you and Oleksandr Usyk. In a crazy world of boxing, mate, at this stage of your career, could you imagine that?
Listen, imagine anything in life, you know. Life is just a beautiful thing, you know. Things happen for a beautiful reason. Listen, if the fight with Deontay happens and the winner will fight Usyk, that'll be amazing. And right now I'm hearing Usyk is fighting, what's his name? What's the Mexican kid? What's his name? Ruiz in Vegas.
Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, Andy Ruiz. So That's what I'm hearing right now. So listen, when we do make things happen with Deontay Wilder, I'll let you guys know.
But would you consider yourself to be part of a tune-up fight to allow Wilder a pathway into fighting Usyk?
Listen, I don't mind a tune-up fight. People can call me whatever they want, as long as I'm getting paid. The name of the game is call me any names you want. Just write me a check. I don't mind.
If you was talking about this fight, Derek, a couple of years ago, Deontay Wilder would have been a strong favourite going into this one. And you're only as good as your last fight. And you look at recent form, and you're on a good run at this stage of your career. And we know that you've been talking about retirement for a while. But Deontay Wilder, if this fight was to take place and it happens in April, who do you see as starting favourite going into this one, a bookie's favourite? Because you could quite be that guy.
You know what, Spencer? I'll be honest with you. I don't really look at bookies. People come up with knowledge of who's gonna win, why they're gonna win it. I don't look at it. I just train to my ability, knowing that the guy in front of me, for him to win this fight, he has to knock me out, like proper lights out. So if he can't do that in round 10 or 12, I'm gonna eat him up. You know, that's how I train. I just finished sparring right now, and I just ate the guys up, and I've been sparred for almost about 6 months. So I don't mind. So I like to fight. I like pain. I like everything. So if the fight does happen, let me explain something to you fellas. Deontay is gonna get laid out.
Do you think Deontay Wilder has to some extent lost his spark, Derek? That he wasn't the wrecking ball that he once was?
No. Listen, he went through some stuff with his ex-wife. You know, even wrote a song for his ex-wife, and then suddenly that song became #1. And then, you know, when you go through a divorce and you go through a hard, painful situation and you're still fighting, you know, it kind of takes that venom away from everything you're doing. And now he's the guy I speak to almost sometimes. He's back on track now, you know. So, and he came out on a podcast talking about how this broke him, how this mentally disturbed his mind in boxing. And then after he lost 2 fights, she goes to him, I don't want to be with you. She left him, you know. So listen, the guy I'm fighting now is a different guy that Zhang and Joseph Parker boxed. You know, so yeah. I'm telling him.
Yeah, I had that conversation with him out in Dubai, Derek, actually, and he was talking about betrayal from his wife, and that affected his performances inside the ring. And we was going to see the old Deontay Wilder when he comes back, and that fight possibly in the springtime, which is now against you. So you're going in against an unknown commodity in many ways, aren't you? Because if you get the Deontay Wilder of old, this guy is a dangerous guy.
Where's Simon Jordan? I thought it was 3 of them.
He's here.
I'm listening to you, Derek. I'm listening to you.
I thought you were going to ask me some questions.
I'm paying attention to what you're saying. I'm hanging on every word, because I told Spencer before you came on here, you'd say absolutely bloody nothing and not commit to the fight, and that's what you're saying. I said, Derek will come on here and say nothing.
Am I not talking right now? Am I talking?
Well, the whole I understood that we were talking about you fighting Deontay Wilder, and that's what we're interested in ascertaining. And what you're doing is doing your usual meandering around and saying nothing. So great that
Simon, why'd you look so red on your face?
Because I'm irritated by your nonsense, Derek.
You know what, Simon? You're such a schmuck anyway. But to be honest with you,
well, you asked to speak to me. Now I'm speaking to you. Now you don't like it. Who are you under contract with? Queensbury?
Me? No, I'm not anymore, because the contract I had with Queensbury expired 2 months after I fought Otto Wallin.
Right. So, right. Who's representing you in the negotiations that you're not having?
Listen, fella.
Derek, here's the thing. You could all but confirm this lunchtime. Simon's got a point. It seems to me that this seems more on than off. You're going to fight Wilder in April, right?
Listen, can I be honest with you?
Please.
God honest through with. Sorry, I'm on a bad position. Can you really let me get the camera right? Can you see me properly?
Unfortunately, we can.
Yes.
What did you ask me?
You're as good as confirming it this lunchtime that you're going to fight Wilder in April, aren't you? Yeah, he's nodding. For those listening on talkSPORT, he's nodding, and he's nodding. And you won it at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, right? Derek Chisora is nodding again. Listen, I can relay the shake of the head, the nod of the head, but it's as good as confirmed. And then Derek, if you beat Wilder, you'll fight Usyk, right?
Then I retire.
After Usyk?
No, after Wilder.
No, you won't, because you've been. How often have we heard that from top fighters?
I'm telling you, listen. My wife has already told me. Listen, if you strap up any more gloves, I'm out.
Right.
You know. Yeah. You know. So.
Okay. Have you got a final word for Simon before you leave us?
Simon.
Yes, my darling.
How are you, man?
I'm very
I love
well.
you, Simon. Simon, I love you, but you're too red. I don't understand what kind of fake fan you do.
It's the gammon in me.
Derek, you've been as entertaining as ever. Derek, here's one for you before we go. It's also suggested that in the not too distant future, Zhang will fight Daniel Dubois. If that was to happen, who wins it?
I see this fight with Zhang. He'll win the first couple rounds. Yeah, if you don't knock Daniel. But in round 4 or 3, Daniel will take over because he's a younger fighter.
Okay.
Yeah,
Derek, listen, I'm watching you on YouTube. Get your head down on that sofa and have a good old sleep. You look as if you're ready for one.
I'm about to do my Pilates.
Do his Pilates.
Oh, he's Pilates. He's doing his Pilates. Forgive me, I forgot. Derek Chisora, as always, intriguing, baffling, but wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Just under 2 months away from a St. Patrick's Day weekend of fight action over in Dublin, Liverpool's newly crowned WBA World Super Featherweight Champion Jazza Dickens makes the first defence of his title against Belfast's own Anthony Cacace. And I'm delighted to say the WBA Super Featherweight Champion Jazza Dickens joins us live on the show. Jazza, good afternoon. How are you?
Well, good, lads. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Great to speak to you, Jazza. Thank you for joining us. Listen, you beat this fellow with a very difficult name to pronounce, but I'll try. Albert Baturgaziev to win the interim WBA featherweight belt last July, but was upgraded to full champion in December after Lamont Roach was stripped of the title. So it's been a bit of a circuitous route, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's one of them. Email champion, but we knew on the night Lamont Roach was never going to defend that title again. He hadn't defended it the year before, something like that, maybe 6 months after, before Baturgaziev. If anything, Baturgaziev should have been upgraded to world champion. So he was number one in the division. He was going through everybody, and it was a great win for us on the night.
Yeah, that fight took place out in Istanbul. I was out there actually commentating on that fight, and Baturgaziev is a former Olympic gold medalist, a guy that they were pushing the IBA. They wanted, him to go on and kick on and bigger and better things. You went in there and ripped up the script in many ways. It's been a bit of an Indian summer for you, hasn't it, Jazzy, late on in your career? Since moving up to super featherweight, you've won 4 in a row, picked up the WBA strap, and now got this big fight against Cacace.
Yeah, Spence, I'm in the middle right now of my 4th Indian summer. Every time you lose and you come back, people say, don't you, you're an Indian summer. But, you keep on working in the gym, keep on learning, and you get the results, don't you? Unfortunately, they didn't do the job right, did they? Didn't match me. Baturgaziev properly, Spence, and it was a great night. You weren't there to win at all. And you've seen a lot of upset Eastern European faces that night.
So, Jazza, come on. You're fighting Cacace. My goodness me. It's a tough one, isn't it? For the first defence, how do you feel about it?
Of course, I feel great about it. And it's going to be Paddy weekend in Ireland. It doesn't get much bigger than that. I lived in Dublin myself for a few years, so it's great to be bringing boxing back to Dublin. The people of Ireland are thirsty for it. Ireland is a bit like Liverpool. They're very, very similar. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy. And to fight someone like Cacace, he's a real champion, and amongst fighting men, to give somebody a shot. Not that I'm the man who holds the shot, and I'm going to be giving out to anyone. Obviously, I'm there for my payday and my opportunity to become a bigger name in the sport. But it's an absolute privilege and a pleasure to share the ring with Anthony Cacace.
I was going to ask you, Jazza, we saw recently with Lewis Crocker, and we saw with Dalton Smith, winning world titles. Obviously, you won a legitimate world title in the same way that Daniel Dubois won it by beating Hrgovic, and the circumstances should have been that Hrgovic should have been, and that should have been a world title fight. So you are a legitimate world champion. I saw the euphoria and the meaning for Lewis and certainly Dalton as well. You winning a world title, has it changed the direction of travel for you? Do you see different opportunities? Was it a major thing in your life? Does it bring out the euphoria that we saw in Lewis and in Dalton? Is that kind of reaction from you? Are you just a bit seasoned now and go, fantastic, I've got it, up and onward?
To be honest, Simon, I tried to play a little bit cool, but the truth was it was over 20 years of hard work. It was all I ever wanted. It was a lifetime of work. And I said to me coach man, Mark Kennedy, at the time, after the fight, what are you doing picking me up like that, swinging me all over the place? He just wants to play a calm and cool, like after Mike Tyson when he's done Trevor Berbick. But no, he made sure we celebrated. So it was a fantastic night. It was, like I say, an achievement, big achievement in my life. And I'm excited to see what goes forward to get bigger and better. Who knows what God's in store for me, but I'm excited to find out.
Is it a calculated risk, a bold move, a backing yourself, a financial opportunity? Because everybody looks at this situation with Anthony Cacace in the form that he's in and going, well, you've got a world title. Most world title winners try and bake in a few opportunities to acclimatise themselves to being a world champion. You're going in with someone that's in a rich vein of form. Is it really because it's a financial opportunity that gives you that opportunity, or is it a deep-seated belief that you can get two straps?
I just believe that I am the best in the world. And like, if I didn't fight Antonio Cacace, then what would you be saying, Simon? You'd be saying, well, are you going to take an easy one when you're going to fight
No, I think
someone?
you've earned the right, though. I think that if you get to that stage in your career where you're a world champion, I think it's assumed that ultimately there's a little bit of latitude in taking a voluntary or giving yourself an opportunity to acclimatise to the new rarefied air of being a... If you did it as a staple diet and duck fights, I'd say that, but I wouldn't say to you now. I think it's great that you're fighting Anthony Cacace. I think it'll be a great fight, and I think it's bold, and I think having two champions from these isles clashing and putting it all on the line and getting two belts in this environment is a great thing.
Yeah, well, the IBO won't be on the line, so it's just for my title. And
right.
I just believe that John O'Carroll will be fighting for the IBO. But I just believe that it's I'm the best in the world, and he's one of the best in the world right now. So why not, Sam? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I like the version of boxing where you're allowed to lose. You're allowed to learn from your losses, like I have in the past. I've had 5 losses, and I would like to see a sport where promoters don't hold that 0 at ransom.
Well done, Jazza. We wish you well, mate. Listen, enough of all that. Do your beloved Everton beat Leeds on Monday?
Yeah, of course we do. Up the toffees, I went on the pitch last week at Everton. It was an amazing, amazing event. And like you asked me the question before, has life changed and stuff like that? Outside the ring, it's mad to get opportunities to do things like that. So yeah, I am back on Everton to beat Leeds.
Well done, mate. Well done. You're a good man. Jazza Dickens with us live this lunchtime, and he's up for fighting in Dublin against Anthony Cacace. Great fight that, and that's a fight you'll hear live commentary of on talkSPORT. And guys, Zuffa Boxing, is it finally beginning to make some headlines? Zuffa Boxing, who is it? What is it? Well, Zuffa Boxing is headed up by Dana White, president of and CEO of UFC, and Turki Al-Sheikh, the chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority. So no slouches there with Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh at the top of the house. And now it's been reported, and we covered this earlier on in the week, that IBF cruiserweight champion Jai Opetaia has signed up with Zuffa Boxing. This was put to Dana White. See what you think. Was he all that convincing about it?
All of this is sort of a work in progress. What we really want to do is, obviously these guys all came from somewhere. They had plans. They had dreams from when they were kids and first put on a pair of gloves. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that these guys can do what they wanted to do, and we'll work with Jai and probably many other guys on stuff like this. I sort of came out a little vague. I don't like to let everybody know what we're doing until we do it. And, like I said, this is all a work in progress. And, yeah, you'll see.
We will see. Talk about cards being played close to your chest, Simon.
It's a little strange because he's a master showman, isn't he, Dana White? And he has had presided over an unprecedented success from taking UFC when it was worth nothing and creating what he's created. Not without challenges, because the landscape of UFC and the various compensation claims that are now being claimed by the UFC fighters because of the distribution of monies is a very different landscape than the boxing landscape, and he needs to be careful how he blends that, because fighters won't be tolerating getting 10% of the proceeds. I mean, I would imagine he's been pretty clear with Jai Apataya, because Jai signed with him. So I'm assuming Mick Francis, who is very, very focused on what's best for Jai, knows what the vision is.
He was on with you and I the other day.
challenge for him is that they don't want to fight Jai in a cruiserweight. Sergio Ramirez would rather fight David Benavidez coming up from light heavyweights than ultimately fight Jai Apataya. Jai Apataya said on a show with us, that with you, Jim, that he'll fight Chris Billam-Smith, although Chris Billam-Smith isn't particularly relevant anymore because he hasn't got a belt, and Chris Billam-Smith wanted the X amount of money. Have the lot. I just want the title. So, but they don't want to fight him. So the question is, what difference does it make by him going to Zuffa? I mean, does he get more money from being with them? Because it doesn't feel that, despite their desire to perhaps extinguish the other belts and their sanctioning bodies, and to some extent, I quite like the idea of that, because I think some of the way they conduct themselves, specifically the WBC, is really poor. Yeah. But they're not going to be able to do that, because the fighters want these belts. Yeah. So I don't know what it does for Jai.
I think that the long-term plan would be to do that, put it all under one umbrella and copy that UFC model. But right now, I think they've recognised that actually we need these fighters, to get these big signings. And I know Oleksandr Usyk is also in talks with them right now. He's left two K2 promotions. Yeah. And Krasiuk. Yeah, Alex Krasiuk. He's left those now. He's a free agent in strong talks with Zuffa Boxing. And I think Zuffa do recognise that they have to let these guys follow their dreams, and that is to win the belts, especially the WBC, the gold and green belt, and also undisputed champions. So I think now, in the short term, Zuffa Boxing will go along with the normal model of boxing and try and change it maybe sometime down in the future. But that's a long job. That's a tough job to do. Trust me.
But they've announced that they've signed Jai Apataya. There's a direction of travel for Jai that eventually lands him in the heavyweights. And the successful progression of many cruiserweights, whether you go back to Evander Holyfield, you go to David Haye, and you obviously go to the current incarnation in Oleksandr Usyk, gives you an idea that Jai Apataya might be effective. But then if you ask the boxing knowledge in the room, and I do with Spencer and I do with Paul Smith, the moment he comes up against a seasoned or slightly mature Moses Atoma, that's where that particular journey potentially ends.
Right. Yeah. I think the big challenge for TKO and Zuffa Boxing is obviously changing what they want to change, and that is all the belts. Because I think what they've recognised now is that every fighter's dream is to become world champion, undisputed champion, and the belts are a major part of that. And I think that's their big long-term challenge.
Okay, strap yourselves in for this, because on Simon and Spencer's Top Boxing this week, talk about trainer versus trainer. This really went into overdrive. Paul Smith, Tunde Ajayi. Let me explain. Paul Smith had suggested on boxing. I mean, Paul Smith, former fighter and a trainer, and of course is on Top Boxing with the guys on a regular basis. Paul Smith suggested on Top Boxing, I'm using it politely, that for Anthony Yarde to become a world champion, he needs to change teams and move away from his trainer Tunde Ajayi. The problem was Paul suggested that to Tunde.
I'm asking you to use a bit of common sense. If you think that we can get there without sparring, then you're just as fickle as all these other geezers who think that we don't spar. You can make as much excuses as you want.
Okay, ultimately, if you have no belt and you have no real way in the door,
so then what is it then? So is
it
it about the belts? Is it about the legacy? Is it about the money? What is it?
I'm going to tell you. If you let me finish, I'm going to tell you.
This is what I'm saying. You lot moved the goalposts when you won. I'm like, it's like, I sit down, I listen to you guys. I say, you know what? Thank God. I'm not a talker.
Absolutely, the fans want to see the fights, but the fight, absolutely.
That's what you're saying. You're stuttering because you know the thing. Just tell the truth.
I'm telling the truth. Okay, Callum Smith and Joshua Buatsi both fought each other in Riyadh in a fight of the year contender, and both got paid more than what Yarde got for fighting Benavidez.
Rubbish. Don't lie to the people.
And that was just a tiny
That was the peaceful part
of what went on. I mean, it really kicked off, didn't it? You two were right there front and centre with it.
Absolutely,
Where
yeah.
did it end?
Me and Simon just looked at each other and had a little smile and let them crack on with it, because you had to. You know, it's an ongoing debate between those two. Anthony Yarde, obviously, with his world title challenges and failed world title attempts, and when Callum Smith is in his own position, these guys talking about that fight sort of, materialising, and they both just went at it. I didn't expect it to go like that. I thought it was going to be a little bit more reserved, but
I did.
It warmed up nicely, didn't it?
I did. I thought the moment that
you didn't even have to get your ladle out.
I didn't. I did a little bit of stirring, but I didn't have to do much. But when I said to Pat, the producer, we've got to play the clip of Paul, what he said to him first, because Paul, before we let Paul and Tunde have a discussion, what had happened after the Anthony Yarde fight and loss, we'd had a discussion about Anthony Yarde, and Paul had weighed in and basically said, if you're the best in your gym, then you need to change gyms. And I think he's run his course with Tunde, and Tunde is this and Tunde is that. And there's some history behind that as to what Tunde said about Callum and so on and so forth.
Right.
So, of course, we played that clip first. And sort of said to Paul, there's the bus, you're underneath it, away you go, son. But there was a lot of what Paul was saying was right, and a lot of what Tunde was saying was right.
Yeah.
There is an element of Tunde was trying to recreate a narrative. He was suggesting that we should appreciate the journey that Anthony's been on, and that where Anthony's come from is the ideal scenario in terms of we should remember that he's come from this disadvantaged background. And what Paul was saying was, hang on a second here. He's fought for world titles. You've been in the corner for 4 of them. This is his worst performance. You don't start recanting a journey whilst you're still on it. You don't start appreciating where you've come from.
Sure.
You're either a winner or you ain't.
Yeah.
And you, son, are presiding over a person that's capable of winning a world title, and you might be the reasons why he's not winning it. And Tunde, of course, was having none of that because he's the trainer and the manager. And I think Paul had some points.
Right.
And I think Tunde had some points. And he pushed back by saying that your brother said he was going to fight David Benavidez, and then he didn't. He made it all about money. The fans don't care about the money. So stop giving it the big one about what your brother will do, and start doing what we did.
It was a very heated conversation, and it was very balanced as well. To be fair, they both had their points, and it made for a very good show.
Well, the full episode, you can catch it now on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. But just like in football, in the world of boxing, when a fight is billed as you don't want to miss this, sometimes they don't live up to the billing. Football matches sometimes don't live up to their billing. But this fight at the end of this month is widely thought, it's almost a certainty, it will live up to the billing. Teofimo Lopez takes on Shakur Stevenson in what could be fight of the year, even this early in 2026. And they're fighting in Madison Square Garden, New York. I'm delighted to say former boxer turned top pundit Paulie Malignaggi joins us live from the US of A. Paulie, as always, so good to speak to you. What can we expect in your mind from Lopez Stevenson?
You know what? I think it's 2 world-class fighters. I think it's 2 world-class fighters in their prime, which is something that's not always shown in professional boxing, right? A lot of times we see guys sort of moving on parallel lanes. They're ascending the ladder, they're at the top, and they never fight. That's been sort of the problem in professional boxing. So to watch these guys get in the ring against one another while they're in the prime of their careers, both considered to be among the best in the world, even pound for pound, I think that's a great thing. And it started getting the year started right.
Yeah, it's a great fight between 2, as you say, Paulie, pound for pound stars. But Shakur Stevenson is moving up in weight again. He's looking to become a world champion in a 4th different weight. Now, could weight play a part in this one, Paulie?
I think it's something that has to be considered. Shakur, he turned pro at featherweight, while Teofimo turned pro at lightweight. There's 2 weight classes difference there. Shakur has a pretty good frame. I would think he may even be taller than Teofimo Lopez, but obviously Teofimo's more filled in, and obviously also, already Spencer, Teofimo has that explosive power that really can be a fight-changing kind of attribute. Shakur, for me, has always been a guy that I'd look to be possibly the best fighter in the sport, sort of this generation's Mayweather. He just hasn't been given the opportunities to fight some of the better fighters. They've avoided him, and, the politics of boxing have really gotten in the way, but I really rate Shakur Stevenson a lot. Having said that, Teofimo Lopez has a knack about him. Whenever you count him out, he has this, and he has these subtle attributes, this explosive power, this supreme athleticism. He's to me the only guy that really beat Lomachenko for real. The other decisions Lomachenko got against him, I didn't think he lost those fights. So, he's one of those guys that on his night, he's probably almost unbeatable. So when I look at, it's an interesting fight because I look at Shakur Stevenson and I say, oh, this guy's the future of boxing. This guy's going to carry the sport, and nobody's going to beat him for a while. He's got that Mayweather attribute. I think Teofimo brings his own attributes to the table, in that if there's going to be somebody who on a certain night can do it, it might be Teofimo Lopez. I'm not sure, but I will say this. Whenever you've counted Teofimo Lopez out, he's looked his best. Sometimes when he's expected to look so good, he's not looked so great. But on the nights where you count him out, he's come out really, really surprising a lot of people.
Yeah, he is on his day, as you say, against Lomachenko. He was sensational, but he lost in that next fight to George Kambosos and didn't look particularly good, but has rebuilt. Yeah, absolutely. Rebuilt since then. And here it is for me, Paulie. I think Shakur Stevenson is that guy that gets into a rhythm. He's very difficult to beat. He can actually bite down on his gum shield, get down in the trenches as well. He has a little bit of everything. And for me, Teofimo Lopez is explosive, but only in bursts. And I think that's where it may let him down. And for me, I think Shakur will pull off a memorable performance and maybe nick this one on points.
You know, I think it'd be intelligent to favor Shakur. I think he's by the bookmakers, he's about a 3-1 favorite to begin with, right? So I think that's the way people are looking at it. But like I said, you know, if there's somebody who brings out his best on the nights where you count him out, it is Shakur. It is Teofimo Lopez. Even the Josh Taylor fight. Listen, everybody can say, okay, Josh Taylor was done, but that everybody's talking after the fight. That's in hindsight. You know, before the fight, a lot of people were picking Josh Taylor to beat Teo, and Teo put on a great performance there. But again, you know, just to you know, double down on your point, Spencer, he underwhelms in certain other fights where he's expected to look good. George Kambosos is the one that really stands out, but also the Sander Martin fight, the Jermaine Ortiz fight. Teo really doesn't look so good when you expect him to look good. So, but when you expect him not to do good or when you expect him to get beat, he tends to be at his most surprising and he tends to bring out his best attributes. And that's why what I think makes this fight so tricky and makes this fight so interesting, because it's one of those nights where people are looking at this like the Shakur Stevenson crowning moment. And I really do believe in Shakur Stevenson, but on his night, Teofimo can beat anybody in the world.
Paulie, earlier on in the show, we were speaking live with Derek Chisora. It's being widely reported here that Derek Chisora, next for him, is a fight against Deontay Wilder in April. So Derek Chisora, Paulie, joined us live. We put that to him. But as always with Derek, at the end of the interview, you actually know less than you did before you started the interview. If Chisora is to go in against Deontay Wilder, is that one that whets your appetite? Can you see it happening in April?
I tell you what, it's better than Wilder and Usyk, which they were talking about, which I think would have been a total waste of time, you know, because at this point, I'm not sure Wilder's the same fighter. But you put in Wilder and you put in Chisora, both are sort of past it, but both still kind of will fight with heart and character. You know what? A few years ago, I would not have picked Derek to beat Wilder, but I think right now, Derek might be able to pull this off. Derek might be able to knock off Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder has lost a lot, and Derek still has that trademark intensity, regardless of if he may not be the same. It's a good fight. You know, it's going to be one of those that maybe doesn't have a big implication in the grand scheme of things in the world title picture, but it's a good fight as far as the entertainment value of it.
What's happened to Wilder, do you think, Paulie? Is he diminished somewhat?
I don't know, ayahuasca. I don't know. That's what they remember that camp that he went to, and then he said he was doing that ayahuasca, and then before you know it, he comes out this Zen guy who doesn't want to throw any punches, and we see the Joseph Parker fight, and he doesn't want to throw any punches, and the other fight where he got knocked out with the guy from China,
Zhang.
Yeah, Zhang. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Wilder. He had one comeback fight. He looked, you know, less than underwhelming. I'll say that. He's not really looked so intense. I think at this point in your career, you know, if you're a little bit past it, you have to at least have some intensity to you. Wilder does not look so intense. If anything, Chisora always brings that. So honestly, it's a good fight it's a good opportunity for Chisora.
Listen, are you just talking boxing now? No more bare knuckle fighting, or is there?
You know what? Maybe in a couple of weeks, you guys will find out something.
Oh no, you're not. You're going back in.
I don't know. You know, I can't spoil the party. I might be back on your show discussing something soon.
That's fine by us. Paulie, as always, thank you so much. Paulie Malignaggi with it. Go on.
I like this weekend too. Raymond Moratai and Andy Cruz. I think it's a very underrated fight. It's on this weekend, and I forgot where they're having it, but it's a really good fight as well. Raymond Moratai and Andy Cruz. World IBF lightweight title. It's a title that Lomachenko vacated when he retired.
Got you, Paulie. Thank you so much for that. Is a guy who could fight, and talk.
Absolutely.
Fabulous.
He's got a bit of
he's a great listener, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a brilliant listener. Yeah, he's a great pundit. But yeah, boy, what a fighter as well. We remember that fight with the late great Ricky Hatton as well, don't we? Where he had to have his hair cut because he had the plaits in and all that. It was, but yeah, he was one hell of a fighter, Paulie, and he's not doing a bad job now either, is he?
He is not. Spencer Oliver, I thank you. Mr.
Thank you,
Jordan,
sir.
I shall see you very soon.